right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops and elders of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well, and peace and salutation unto the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of Yashar Allah, upholding the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. Peace and salutations. This is the brother Wakwaship. And I just want to go in on the topic of the hour. Essentially, false prophets out here changing up their stance, regarding prophecy. And this is part of the reason why we give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, is because they've been steadfast in their teachings and their diligence towards prophecy. And from the very beginning, the MOT to the B was and is the Charagma. But what we are seeing here now is these false prophets speaking out of their own heart and not out of the mind of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. And really, this is all for filthy lucre, and it's not to exalt or to give glory to Yahweh Yahweh Shai. That's why scripture talks about how essentially these people are filling their own bellies, because that's who they worship. They worship themselves. They don't worship Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. And so their doctrine, their teaching, is completely off. And that's the reason why they were not sent, because many are going to say in that day, Lord, Lord, and Yahweh Shai is going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. And so I'm going to read here real quick, just a couple of precepts, and Lord will, this will be edifying for the elect. This is Jeremiah 23:16. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you, they make you vain. And when you go into that word vain, it means empty, meaning you're not putting any sustenance in you as far as spiritual food. It says they speak a vision of their own heart going into mine, and not out of the mouth of the Lord. So even if you read where it talks about in Isaiah real quick, it talks about they wanted to this is Isaiah 30:10. It says, we say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. And that's really 2/3 of our people. That's what they desire. They desire deceits. They desire to be taught in a way that's outside of the truth. And that's what makes them vain. That's what makes them profane. Because everything in which they're learning is coming from blind guides. Matter of fact, let's grab that. Because if you knew what was right to teach, there's no way that you would say anything aside from the MOT to the B being the Charagma. That message has been remixed from, these false camps, these false prophets, dozens and dozens of times over, when it's always been the charagma? And so how many more other things have they gone off on, okay? But specifically that one, because we already know that in itself is the ultimate judgment of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Okay? This is Matthew 23, and I'm going to read 24. It says, ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Let's grab this word here for blind guides. Because that's what's literally happening. Okay? Scripture talks about if the blind lead the blind, both of them shall what? Fall into a ditch. Okay? Let's grab this word here. Matter of fact, let's grab blind first.
Strong's G 5185, Tuflas. Thayer's Lexicon, related entry, Prasites.
It says mentally blind. Okay? And that's why they said to the seers, okay? Because what do the seers have? The seers have the vision. The vision of what? Prophecy. That was given to the prophets of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Okay? So this is saying blind as far as mentally. Okay? And it says opaque, as if smoky. Blind physically or mentally. Right? And then let's get guides. Because we as the shepherds of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, you know, we are the flock of his pasture are men, okay? Because our shepherd is Yahweh Shai. But point being here is, as guides, you know, as those that are leading, you know, our people out of this world of darkness, okay? When you're guiding someone, you got to guide them in the right way. You can't guide them and be completely off, you know? And the MOT to the B is very straight and very plain, okay? But that's why it says they prophesy out of their own hearts and not of the counsel of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, okay? Even not calling on the names, okay? Once again, that's a blind guide, okay? Prophesying what? Deceits, okay? So for the word here, guide, it says a leader of the way, a guide, a teacher of the ignorant and inexperienced, okay? So yeah, you can't be teaching anyone if you're still ignorant and inexperienced regarding the MOT to the B, okay? This is Matthew 15 and 14. It says, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. And that's exactly what's happening. Okay? If you're not prophesying this word, okay, correctly, you're a blind guide, because you don't have the vision of prophecy that has been fulfilled, okay, by Yahweh Shai, in which we receive that vision, okay, from Yahweh Shai all the way down through the apostles of prophecy, of knowing what these things are, okay, and not to err in them. All right, this is back in Jeremiah 23 and 16. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart and not out of the mouth of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai. They say, still unto them that despise me, the Lord hath said, ye shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. And even going into the vax, right? They told everyone to go get the vax, and that no evil would fall upon them. And then what happened? People started suddenly dying or becoming unalived, right? Well, why was that? That was because they said no evil shall come upon you. They said go take it. And what do you think they're going to say when it pertains to the M-O to the T to the B? They're going to say the same thing. Because they're not prophesying the truth. Okay? They're prophesying out of their own heart. And that blood is going to be on them, man. Okay? Verse 18. For who hath stood in the counsel of the Lord, and hath perceived and heard his word? Who hath marked his word and heard it? Verse 19. Behold, a whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. And that's what's happening in totality, of Babylon. Okay? This whirlwind of Yahweh Shemi Yahushua, man, the Lord is visiting this place. Okay? Through the chariots, okay? Through the prophets, through judgments, through earthquakes. Okay? All of these are signs, okay, that this place is about to be taken out of here. Okay? And this is the last point right here, verse 20, says, the anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. And that's where we are. We're in these latter days where those that are listening to these epistles, okay, those that subscribe, okay, to the teachings of the men of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai, the apostles, the elders, the bishops, okay, of Great Millstone, all right, everyone is considering it perfectly. Because when that fury of Yahweh Shemi Yahushai starts to wreak havoc here in this earth, okay, there won't be any debating anymore. There won't be any more podcasts anymore. There won't be any, let's have a unity camp. Everyone is going to consider it perfectly, okay? And that's why some of these camps are trying to moonwalk their way, from their stands. That the MOT to the B is the charagma. When for years and years, all they've been talking about is everything except for that. But now here in the latter days, towards the end, everyone is considering it. And they're going to consider it perfectly. Okay? Because Yahweh Shemi Yahushai is on the brink of taking this place out, man. So just wanted to go into that real quick. Lord will, it was edifying for the elect. And until next time, Shalom.